Okay, so here you see the code and its description. You might not get the description depending on which scan tool you're using. You see it says AF sensor, so air fuel sensor. It can also be called a wideband O2 sensor, linear air fuel sensor. But this is going to be the sensor that is right off the exhaust manifold. It's a pre-cat. And just to note, the post-cat oxygen sensor is just a normal plain Jane oxygen sensor. So this one's about $180. The other one's about $60. So I'm going to show you a quick way to diagnose this sensor using only a multimeter. And you know, when you get these codes for these air fuel sensors, you know, it'll say like heater circuit or something like that. They're pretty smart. And my experience with this code is, you know, it's, gosh, I would say 90% of the time it's the sensor. So with doing these checks, it's going to bring it up to about 95% certainty that it's going to be the sensor. To 100% diagnose it, you'd need a scan tool. You'd need to kind of know what values you're looking for. It's kind of a little tricky with the air fuel sensors sometimes. You know, you introduce propane or brake clean to force the system rich, or pull a vacuum line, force it lean, and you really got to know what you're looking for. But I think that's enough rambling. Let's get to the car. Okay, now we're just going to have a visual inspection of the connectors, make sure the wiring's in good shape, nothing obvious is broken or anything. We're going to push down on this tab and try and get this off. She's been on there for a while, but she let go on us. Okay, so now we're going to set up our multimeter. Now this is just a fancy multimeter. You don't need a fancy one, just any multimeter will work. And we're going to be checking our reference wires. Okay, so let's pull this off of here, get better access to this. Okay, so we'll go to a known good ground. On one of our leads, we'll check our meter. We should see battery voltage. We do. Okay, so now what we want to check is this blue and this red wire. These are the reference circuit there, and we are just going to touch the pins, and we should see about 3 volts on each of those pins. That's one pin good, one pin good. So now what that tells us on our signal circuit is that the circuit integrity is good, because that voltage is coming from the computer. If those wires were shorted or, you know, broken, we wouldn't get that voltage up here. So that's really a good check to make sure before you go buy a sensor, because you could have a problem there. The next thing we're going to do is check the heater circuit, and the heater circuit's going to be on this vehicle, I don't know, looks like tan and then black with a white tracer. Okay, but it's just going to be opposite of those 2 signal wires, and you can match it up with the air fuel sensor. Match up with those 2 black ones on the corresponding side, because it's going to be, the heater circuit's the one with the wires with the same color. Anyways, back to the heater circuit. We should have 12 volts on one of these wires, or battery voltage I should say. Okay, so there we go. We have power coming up here. And again guys, I'm just doing the simple stuff just so you can come out here and be about 95% sure that you need this sensor. We only have one more check to do, and you can be fairly confident that you need a sensor. So what we're going to do is we're going to check the resistance through the heater circuit. So these 2 black wires. And the spec we are looking for on this vehicle is 0.8 to 2 ohms. A lot of vehicles are 2 to 4 ohms, but this one says 0.8. So we're going to go to ohms, and generally when you go to ohms, you need to switch over your leads. Okay, do a calibration test. No, Don't feel like it. So, kind of using what we have here. Got a little safety pin. And we are going to front probe these because that's what we're going to do. I'll stuff it on the side of the pin, not in the pin. She does not want to go in. Okay, we're going in the pin. Front probe, don't do that. Don't be that guy. Bear with me here 1 second. There we go. She'll be all right. Okay, so we should see between 0.8 and what did I say? 2 ohms. There you go. Right at 1 ohm. So that tells us that the heater circuit through the sensor is good, and that's important because if even though it's throwing the P1149, it could be the heater circuit that is throwing that code, and you know it can throw a whole bunch of different stuff. So you should want to verify that. So pretty much we checked all the wires. You got the code, you can go get a sensor. Good to go. Until next time.